When you offer an intention, it creates a partnership with spirit or the universe. And that partnership is collaborative, and it allows the thing that you've intended to unfold and take form. So, my truth continues with this is that it's actually when we offer the intention that thing is created, that thing that we've intended is created. Now, at that moment, okay, it doesn't have form. We're just beginning to take the pure potentiality of spirit, and we're focusing it into a direction to create something. Okay, and so that initiates its creation. Okay, so anyway, that's my truth, and there's others that think this as well. So if that is true, what's really important to understand about this is that time between when you offer your intention, which my theory is, my truth is, that's when the creation begins. That's when it's initiated. That's when the intention begins to form. And then the time that it takes form is this kind of time where the intention may be happening inside. It may be happening in spirit, perhaps at a different dimension, if you will. It's happening, you could say energetically, it's happening, but it hasn't taken form yet. Okay? And so what are the things there? And there are things we can do that speed up, I guess you could say, and develop this intention taking form. Okay, and one of those things is to sit with the feeling of the new thing that you are intending. It turns out that if, it's great if we have an idea and we offer an intention. And by an intention, I just mean it could be done formally in ceremony. It could just be an idea. It's like, I think I'd like to have this thing in my life. I think I'd like to awaken this thing in me. It can be that simple. It can be a statement, and that is great because that begins to focus that energy. As it turns out, we can do things like offering it in ceremony. Has a little more oomph, if you will, a little more power. The other thing that seems to help is if we offer it with feeling. In other words, what I mean by that is if we sense the feeling and the elements of what that thing would feel like. Now, and then sit with that and saying, yeah, this is, if I want a relationship, is one of the examples I often use. If I want a relationship, I want the love to feel like this. Okay, if I want a career, it's like I want my business to feel like this. If I want a community, I want community and the interaction to be like this feeling of whatever that is. And to sit with that and saying, yeah, spirit, we're giving spirit information. It's like, yeah, spirit, this is what I want. This is the vibration and the feeling of this thing that I want. Because so I want a relationship. Well, what kind of relationship? Well, I want a loving relationship. I want one that feels like this. Okay, I want a career. I want a business that feels like this, or a community that feels like this. And so we kind of envision the thing we're seeking, okay, not the form of it, but the feeling of it. And then that helps. It makes the intention more powerful. It gives spirit and the universe more to work with. Okay, I use the expression sometimes, it's like putting your intention on steroids. The other thing we can do that's similar to this and is kind of a form of this is we can begin to act as if the thing has happened. So now remember, from this truth that I'm speaking, that the thing has already been created when we offered the intention. It just doesn't have form. So if it's a relationship, we can start acting as if the relationship is happened. Okay, it just doesn't have form yet. Okay, so we can start thinking about what it would be like to be in this relationship. I went through this not too long ago, where it's just like I started thinking about, oh, when I'm in a relationship, I might need this. So I bought two camping coffee mugs, or what was one silly example. It's like, yeah, when we go camping together, we'll each have our little Yeti mug, and so it's a silly thing, but it's like I know it's going to happen, so I'm going to be prepared. Now, obviously, we don't want to get too carried away with this and spend a whole bunch of money on things, but it was a simple dance that I could do to kind of just start acting as it's true. I went on a trip in my birthday, and one of the things I wanted to do in a relationship is I wanted to go. I was at the coast, and I wanted to sit on the balcony looking over the ocean, and have like a glass of wine or a glass of champagne or a cup of coffee in the morning, with this person in my relationship. So what did I do? On my birthday, I went there by myself, and I sat there and had a glass of wine, sat up a little, there, and I invited that love in. I invited spirit in and that love in, and this future person, and had like a little, and celebrated my birthday in that way. Okay, so I'm acting as if, okay, and my belief and my truth and my actions are like moving in the direction of this relationship. Okay, again, this needs to be tempered. We can take this too far for sure, but it's kind of a cool thing. It's giving myself ultimately and the universe a signal that I know this thing is coming because I asked for it. Okay, so now I'm starting to live it. I'm not waiting until it takes form. I am beginning to live it now. Okay, and so, so I, it wasn't quite the same sitting there, with my glass of wine by myself, but it was really sweet. And it's like, I know the next time I go to the coast, I'm not going to be by myself. I'm going to be doing this, and someone will be here with me. Okay, as it turned out, not too long after that, a couple of weeks after that, I met someone that I'm now seeing, and it's early, but it seems to be going really, really well. But that's my story. I'm just trying to give an example of what I mean by this as if. We're like envisioning the feeling, envisioning the space, envisioning the experience that we want. And then we're hanging out in that experience, in that feeling. And, if it's a type of, business that we want, it's creating that experience so we can begin to live it, even though it doesn't have the right form yet. It's like I can start experiencing community now. I can go and try out other communities, and then I meet a group that I like. It's like, yeah, this is the feeling that I want in my community. So I'm now experiencing community. Now, is my community going to be that community? Maybe not. But another example I'll give you is I went to an ecstatic dance group when I first moved to Ashland about a year ago. And they had a wonderful community at this ecstatic dance. Now, I'll just want to let you know, ecstatic dance is great, but it's not my total passion. So is that community going to be my community? Probably not. However, I went and I was part of that community, almost like a guest of it, but I was part of it. I was dancing and I was being a part of that community and enjoying the feeling of community. Okay, so like this is the feeling I want. You know, we may not be dancing, but this feeling that they have, yeah, I want some of that. So I'm in the experience of, I'm experiencing the feeling of it, and I'm, you know, meditating with the feeling of it, and that is what begins to really create some momentum for this thing to happen. And I'm believing it more and more, and it's becoming true to me, and it's giving spirit energy, it's giving spirit information about what I want. And so that's the thing I said, is kind of like putting it on steroids. So the takeaway here is, like, what is something you'd like to create in your life? What is something you'd like to awaken in yourself, or something you'd like to have? You know, have it, you know, my suggestion is have an intention, or intentions if you do not already, and then and then when you do it, act as if it's already happened. Once you offer that intention, and maybe you don't totally know this as strongly as I do, and that's fine. I'm not asking you to, but what do you got to lose? Like what if it is true? And it's like, what if I just offered an intention and the thing is created, is developing? And like, if I live as if, and if I envision the feeling and hang out in that feeling and the experience of it, okay, it's going to have that thing, you know, be created, and doorways, it's going to open doorways for that thing to take form in my life. And so that's the suggestion. Have an intention, you know, envision the feeling, sit with the feeling at the end of your meditation perhaps, and then go to experiences and create experiences that have that feeling, and begin to live them. And then as you live them, you know, it creates more energy, more vibration, okay? And things start taking form. Not long after it, doorways begin to open for a more specific thing, and a more formed thing of what you would like. So that is my video for this week. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having an amazing summer. And yeah, just think as you go through your week, maybe just think about if you have any intentions. If you don't, I would suggest why not be creating something? I mean, and then just think about, how can I start, you know, being in the feeling of that, and how can I start living my life as if that thing has happened? And I will see you in a week.